Heart first leadership isn't what you say, it's how you show up, how you regulate, how you communicate, and how you execute when it matters most. We are Heidi and Ryan Sawyer, and you are listening to the Heart First Leadership Podcast.
Welcome back to the show. Today we're making a transition. We're going to tell you all about it. Hope everybody's doing well out there. This change in season, this season where the leaves begin to fall off the trees, it's about letting go, and it creates opportunity for something new. So we have been, if you're somebody who follows us on social platforms and those type of things, you may be noticing a change in the name of the podcast, and it's changed now 2 or 3 different times in the last few weeks. So I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into what that is. First of all, we practice what we preach. Sometimes that may look like we're a little bit of a fart in the wind, but I'm going to tell you, even sometimes farts in the wind can be intentional. What I mean by that is one of the principles that I talk about in my book actually is called try it on. So as a team, Heidi and I, you and I, hi, by the way, how are you?
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, she's here. Yeah. She's here. We wanted to make a specific shift towards a niche because we see a hole there that we can fill within relationship. So within what we call reinventing your relationship or strengthening your marriage or pulling your marriage out of a place that maybe is not desirable, but really with the intention to recreate, to reinvent, right? So we've been able to do this for ourselves, and we see the ability to be able to take the work that we teach and support others in that niche. So we made that shift. In doing so, we got some really good, neat, like roadmap of content.
Got a lot of great feedback from people.
Really good feedback.
Yeah,
people loving the direction.
People saying they listened to the 4 episodes that we put out when we were going in that direction here on this podcast. They list those multiple times and were able to put the advice and principles into action in their marriage and actually made a difference within that short period of time. So it's really, really powerful.
Even people who are like really close to us, I'm not going to say who, but people who are like really close to us are like, oh, I'm implementing and it helps. So how cool is that, right?
It's really cool.
And so if it can help people who are closest to us, we know it can help people who aren't emotionally close to us as well, right? So we're excited about that shift, but that shift is not happening here.
Right.
And so that shift is happening. We created a separate podcast called Reinvent Your Relationship, and Heidi's really going to lead up that charge. So why I'm introducing that here is because it's 2 conversations, but one and the same. The more you do this work, the more clarity you find, the more that you're able to be specific about the impact that you can make, the conversations you want to have, who you want to talk to, who you want to be in a relationship with, all these different things. This is about where this podcast right here that you're listening to is going. I call it Find Your Game Day. Right. So we're gonna illustrate that a little bit. For Heidi, finding her game day, there's a couple things, right? There's one is that she has recognized that she wants to be in more environments where she's a part of a team and kind of being out in the world more and being more interactive. And that's going to help her find that sense of purpose and passion, right? And then for me, it's about being in specific conversations and within the, I'm sorry, one more. And for Heidi, it's also about being in this conversation about relationship. Like you're passionate about that, right? That's the conversations you want to have. For me, it's about speaking to competitive environments, right? Sports teams, leaders, but really being in competitive environments, that's athletes, even businesses, right? Or whatever, but really unpacking what that means to find your game day. So that's where we are. We're making these shifts. We're getting more specific in the conversations that we want to have. And I want to give you the opportunity before I start to unpack the Find Your Game Day piece. And what kind of like, maybe you can even ask me a few questions about it. Be curious about it, right? I want to hear a little bit for you, like this shift towards the reinvent the relationship. How is that really for you, finding your specific voice and niche and who you want to work with? How has that been?
Yeah, I love this pivot. And I do feel that both of these conversations deserve their own space. rather than us trying to kind of do everything in one space. Yes, it is all interconnected. There's a through line through everything, whether you're talking about business, whether you're talking about, sports performance, whether you're talking about relationships, self-confidence, all of these things. There's a through line with all of it. And that's the work that we do. But I really do feel strongly that these conversations deserve their own space. And what I've been talking about for a long time, I was looking back and thinking about how long I've been coaching. It's been quite a while. I think started in 2018, working with people on there, which it's crazy because it feels like no time and then a long time at the same time, right? But working with people, one-on-one, the relationship stuff comes up a lot, and it all boils down back to our relationship with ourselves, which is our most important relationship, which is a lot of the work that we talk about together. So I'm just really excited to dive specifically into a lot of the tangible things that people can do to start reinventing their relationship, not recreating the same relationship they had before, because chances are, if you're listening to the Reinvent Your Relationship podcast, you probably don't want a lot of the things that were going on in your relationship in the past. You want to invent something new that serves you and your partner and where you want to go and who you want to be in your life. And so I'm excited just to speak more to that and to have you on the podcast with me, and also to have some really powerful conversations with other people who have reinvented their relationship and be able to really glean from them, learn from them. How did you reinvent your relationship? What did that look like? And hear their stories, and hopefully spread some inspiration.
Yeah. And you'll have, I'm assuming, some professionals on in that realm a little bit, but I will still be with you.
Yep.
Alongside of you, having those conversations. You're going to be leading the way. So that's where to find Heidi. If you want really to hear her voice, her insights, her knowledge, her experience, right? And that's going to be in Reinvent Your Relationship. This podcast here is going to go down a little bit more of a, what's the right word? Intense.
Well, if you've been listening for any amount of time, you probably know that Ryan is the more intense one of the two of us, and he's definitely passionate about this work.
So like when we were gonna just do the relationship conversation, and then we were trying it on. So trying it on is a principle where you legitimately, it's like trying on clothes. If you I wonder what that would be like. Well, let's talk about it. Let's do it. Let's change the name. Like, I'm okay with making it look like we're a fart in the wind out there. So, what I mean? But it's intentional. And what I mean by that is, like, we were like legitimate. All right, let's try it. This is what we're doing. We're niching down together. We're going to talk about reinventing a relationship. I can get behind this. I have experience in this. I can point all this work back to that. Yeah. And as much as I see the need for it and I want to be a part of it, I do.
And you are going to be a part
of it. And I am going to be a part of it. It made me feel like a caged animal a little bit. It made me feel like, this is great. This is important. There's maybe the most important work, but yet there's something else that I want to talk about. And you don't know until you try it on. And that is a principle for anything in life, whether you're wanting to, start a new business, become a runner, whatever that is. Until you try it, you're not going to know what the full impact is for you. And for you notice that there was a real sense of something missing in the conversation that you wanted to bring to the table. And it's really important. We are all leaders. If you're ready to stop waiting and start impacting your environment in a powerful way, we want to connect with you. Click the Book Now link in the show notes to book a call with a Heart First coach and discover what Heart First leadership can look like in your life and in your environment. Now back to the show. Yeah. So there was something missing. Absolutely. And not that conversation isn't complete in itself. Right. But it's not the conversation that I want to be having. Right. It's not the only conversation I want to be having. Right. It's a yes and. Yeah. So we're kind of going back to where I started a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. We're using a different name. The name of this podcast is now Find Your Gameday. Which ironically was the original name that before we launched. Yeah. For the podcast way back. Like we've even bought a URL, right? Find your name. Right. Findyourgameday.com. Right. So if you listen or you're new, you know that I come from an athletic background. You know that I used to be a collegiate football coach. You know that that lives very deep in my bones, in my cells. The competitive environments is an environment that I feel very comfortable in. I enjoy. And now bringing this work that we have uncovered the last however many years, is really understanding that there's two aspects of life. There's the outer game and there's the inner game. We call it the outer journey and the inner journey. But there's the outer game, which is things like, skill, right? Overcoming obstacle, building teams. Maybe it's certain goals, winning a game, acquiring a certain amount of money. What all these type of titles, roles, like that's all the outer.
How your results show up out there.
Yeah, they're very tangible. Somebody else can visualize them. Somebody else can see them, right? The inner game is legitimately this aspect of ourselves, which we call the mental faculties. The mental faculties are willpower, imagination, reason, perception, intuition. These are the inner game that strengthens our ability to play the game of life, right? So how does Find Your Game Day come into this? Find Your Game Day is this level of intentionality. If you're an athlete, you know what I mean by this. You didn't have to worry about having a bad habit on game day, right? I mean, I can feel this urge, this pull, this like desire, this pull forward when I just say the word game day. It's college football Saturday, late in the fall when it really matters. You're playing for playoff implications, and there's, you're trying to get that top seed so you get the first round bye week, and you're hoping to, have home playoff advantage throughout the playoffs, which gives you a direct path to the national championship game, right? Like just there's so much, and every week is building upon itself, means more than the last week because you won and you gave yourself that ability to right? All of that goes into it. The wake up, man, you don't hit snooze on game day, right?
Yeah.
you don't go to breakfast and be like, oh boy, that donut sure looks good. You just don't. Maybe you don't even eat because you got some butterflies happening, right? You even how you treat the night before, like you get yourself to bed. There's a level of preparation with everything you're doing. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to be able to ever match the level of intensity when you're in a stadium with, 10,000, 30,000, 60,000. I've played in front of 70, or I've coached in front of 70,000 people, whatever. I'm not saying you're going to match that same level of intensity, but I'm saying you can match that same level of intentionality. You can live your life, and then you can make whatever is happening in your life and prepare for it, train for it like it's game day, right? For the development of your inner game, for the permanent and impactful, experience of life when you are developing yourself, when you focus on the process rather than the result, when you become really, really inward focused in a way where your intrinsic motivation is just as important as your extrinsic motivation, to where it's not about obtaining the goal or winning the trophy. It's about who you become in the process that matters, right? Which I believe we lose sight of this, especially in sports and athletic environments. I believe we get a little bit over too attached to whether or not we won the game rather than focusing on who we're becoming in the process and really illustrating that growth for athletes, right? So this is a concept of Find Your Game Day for people who want to learn how to push their own limits, challenge their own limits, and push their internal edge so they become better at being leaders, at being fathers, at being husbands and wives and coaches, right? But also it's about being able to develop skills for athletes in competitive environments that are life skills that are permanent and impactful for them, right? For them to learn how to use these tools that are these mental inner faculties for life. Because the real game that we're all playing here is life, right? It's not football. It's not volleyball and basketball. Like we're talking about sports, right? The real game is not, trying to make money, whatever. It's an experience of self improvement. It's a level of self-development and improvement. That's the real game we're all playing.
Yeah.
Right. So find your game day. It's going to be illustrate very clearly that inner game, and then giving you specific mindset and tools that is going to allow for you to show up with a level of intentionality that leads towards recognizing that I can find that same level of fulfillment in just about anything in life if I bring my entire attention to it.
Yeah. So this is going to be conversations, solo cast, where you're kind of presenting topics related to finding your game day, this level of intentionality, this level of, things that high performers do to work towards a worthy ideal, to become the best versions of themselves, to find joy in the journey, in the process, and it being about the internal experience along the way that's happening. But also, you're crushing it and getting results in life too.
Sure.
And then, so
that's a cherry on top.
You're going to be also interviewing people, having conversations with people.
Yeah.
Can you tell everybody a little bit about the types of interviews and conversations that you're hoping to have?
Well, yeah. I mean, so first, the solo cast, will be me giving very specific examples, right, and practices and philosophy that it's not just me. Like, you guys, if anybody knows me, it's not like I'm sitting over here saying, hey, look how successful I am. It's that I have made my life an experiment, and that I am a relentless student, and that I go out and I seek relationship with people who I believe to be the best in the world at what they do.
So you're saying, come learn with me about what the highest performing people in the world do and how they do it, and how we can maximize that inner experience of it, not just focus on the outside results, but what is our experience? How are we growing? How are we evolving? How are we moving through this this training ground that we call life, and what are some of the things we can do to really maximize that?
I take the sport out of it, and I legitimately, if you see me like scrolling on my social media or poking around, I'm probably looking for clips of Muhammad Ali in interviews, or Kobe Bryant, or Michael Jordan, or somebody who we would look at and be like, oh yeah, they were the best in the world at what they do. Why I went and trained with Mark Devine as a former Navy SEAL commander, right? And seek other relationship with people that are business professionals or whatever. And I'm just curious to hear, how does their mind work? How do they organize their mind, right? How do they create? What do they do on a daily basis to create themselves? Right. And to prepare themselves. And how do they experience life in the totality of life? Meaning, where are they still missing the mark? They're so looked at as like, holy cow, you're great, but like, oh, there's still something missing. And so what can I learn from that, saying that, man, am I on a path of trying to be ultra successful, or am I on a path of being ultra, like, would just be being very clear about how we're defining success, right? That it's not just about the championships or the money, but it's about the ability to experience life from the inside out, meaning there's a level of contentment and joy and peace and love and connection and meaning that's behind all of those accolades, right? And if one is missing without the other, if we're too outwardly focused on the external game or extrinsic motivation, then we're gonna suffer, right? So finding that balance between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, find the balance between being process oriented and result driven, finding that middle ground where excellence happens. I'm not there. But I am incredibly curious about having the conversations with people to explore how to get there, where life feels like I hit the ground on a Wednesday, a Tuesday, a Sunday, with this level of intentionality, of this level of presence, this level of purpose every single day.
Yeah, that's what we all want. No matter what your goals are in life, you want to get to the end of your life and know that you gave it your all, and know that you were intentional, and know that you played hard. you trained hard, you loved hard, like all these things. And I'm so excited to hear you unleash, unleash, your curiosity and your passion for performance and these types of conversations. It's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah. So one more quick thank you. And thank you for, being in this game with me of us figuring out this balance between the inner and the outer game. Because that's what we're constantly supporting each other in. And that's, while we're now, basically creating 2 podcasts instead of 1. And so we're just, we're doing more of what we want to be doing, which is just really cool to be here in a very short period of time, from when we started the first one, second one, now third one, whatever, however that looks. But this is something that just came up as you were just kind of illustrating me unleashing. And you might resonate with this, or you might have heard other people act or talk this way. Like somehow I've heard people, act like 40 years old is kind of like this, like, oh yeah, it's over the hill.
Yeah.
I've been there and done it. I'm a has-been, and even especially coaches, parents that are kind of acting like they've had their day in the sun, right? And that now it's their time. And I'm saying, if you really want what's best for your children or your athletes or your team, right, that there is the most important aspect of them learning how to develop themselves and how to live a full life is by it being modeled.
Yeah.
By it being modeled. So we need to set the model, right? We need to set the model for our kids and for our athletes. That if you're telling the story that because you're 40, I'm 46 years old. Like, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'll put it out there. Like, I legitimately feel like a kid, just figuring things out, just being like, oh, there's so much more. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. And the more I want to explore, the more I want to grow, the more I want to push, the more I want to create. Right. And I'm just not okay with that mentality that I think sometimes we unconsciously adopt.
Yeah. That's our culture, right? It's like, okay, start saving for retirement because here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're one who's more saving for retirement is more important than you exploring, then find a different podcast. Go find one that talks about maximizing your investments.
Yeah. Or let this be the wake up call of like, hey, I'm not going to wait until then to be passionate about life and to be happy
and live the life
you
that
could do
desire,
it now.
right? And yeah. And so just know, like, you go to work, you come home, you live for the weekends, you pop on the game, right? What model are you creating for your kids, for your athletes, right? That this is that when they're 18 to 22 years old or 16 to 22 years old, that's going to be the best time of their life. Everything from that point, it's kind of just downhill. It's kind of hit play on a program, and it's and what I'm saying to you is that we can live our life every single day until our last breaths with a level of passion and purpose, intentionality, and which will lead towards connection and love and joy and purpose.
And I've seen your dedication towards your beginner's mind and curiosity and finding that for so many years, where you're like, I refuse to settle for the status quo. I want to live life in an intentional way. And I think this podcast is really going to speak to people who are thinking there's got to be more than this.
Yeah.
Cool. College was great. That was fun playing ball. That was really cool to see my kids doing this now, but what's the rest of my life looking like? And where am I finding these new experiences and these new challenges in my life? And just getting curious about that. I think that is the conversation to have, is having that beginner's mind. And we tell our kids too, when they're like, oh yeah, mom, dad, I know everything about that. We're like, ooh, be careful. Yeah. Be careful being too sure about what you think you know, because there is this level of curiosity and humility that we all need to have to continue to evolve and grow, to continue to seek the ways that what we think we know might not be it.
Yeah. So keeping that beginner's mind and seeking like, and being curious about how life can feel like a game day. And you can find it in just about freaking anything, right? You can find it in anything. And it allows for you to continue to train and grow and practice and evolve and compete. And you're not competing against anybody other than yourself. And it's the greatest joy. It really, truly is the greatest joy. I absolutely love it. And I want other people to maybe expand in their capacity to, to challenge themselves, to grow, to evolve, and to find their own game day, right? Like it's up to you to stoke your own fire, right? No one's going to stoke it for you. And so that's what the Find Your Game Day is going to be about, is learn how to stoke your own fire, creating life to be your training ground, taking full responsibility for it, stepping into it in a way where you start to live with more intentionality and explore some of these high performance habits or habits of excellence, right? That just lead towards more of what you actually truly do want. Right? Yeah. So we're excited to have these conversations. To hear more of Heidi going forward, go check out her podcast. I'm sure we'll put some stuff in the notes here for Reinvent Your Relationship. And you'll hear me over there as well, having conversations with her about a relationship. And if you want to have conversations about, I guess it's, find your game day, living life with a level of intentionality and passion, then you know where to find me here. So we'll look forward to what's coming next.
Thank you for listening. Remember, leaders go first, alignment matters, and the environment that you create is the legacy you'll leave. We'll see you on the next episode.